Look guys, I know the idea was to have Goku Mario behind me, but I kind of don't like the fact that he's staring directly at the back of my head. Clapping for sync. The first special edition system of this year has dropped, and it is the Mario Red Nintendo Switch. Now, this is not one that is bundled with any kind of games, but it is being released side by side with Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, so we're gonna unbox this and take a look at everything inside. We already know about another special edition coming out later this year, which is a Monster Hunter themed one. I am trying to get my hands on that as well, so if you're enjoying this video and you wanna see that unboxed, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. So real quick, before we open, let's just take a look at everything on the side. The front is pretty traditional. It's like the usual layout, but you can see it's the special edition red color. We got the sides showing some of the extra stuff going on here. One thing worth noting is that this bundle does come with a carrying case as well. And on the back, we have a nice little close-up shot of the Joy-Cons with the wrist straps attached. One of the few places that adds that nice little flash of blue for contrast. So that's neat. Also, I really want to see how this little coin turns out in person because I love that concept. All right. Let's go ahead and start opening it. I hope it's in here. Here we go. All right, so the one thing I love about unboxing Switches is that it is straightforward. Most unboxings tend to put everything else on top, not Nintendo. They put the system right at the top. So, actually, let's grab the Joy-Cons first. Oh, is this actually, this looks like, this is a different red. So I bought way back when Super Mario Odyssey came out, they released a special limited edition system in the West that came with these Mario Red Joy-Cons, and in Japan, they were just released on their own, you could buy them. So that's how I got them, I imported them. And I thought they were gonna use the same red from that system as here. That's not actually the case. The one from the Super Mario Odyssey bundle is definitely a deeper, brighter red. You look at the one in comparison over here, it's a little more pastel, a little more faded. Interesting. I really thought this was gonna be the same. So this is actually kind of walking almost a midpoint between the Mario Red and then the original Neon Red that the system launched with. And then the system. Now this is one of the few Nintendo Switches that are actually a different color. Actually, I think, is this the very first one that's a different color? I'm pretty sure this is the first one that's a different color, actually. So then we have the system itself, and this is the first Nintendo Switch, at least in the West. I think there might have been one in another country, I need to double check, but this is the first one that actually has a different color body on the Switch itself. All the other special editions we've had so far are a black design that maybe features some kind of print or special design on it, but still is a mostly black. This one though, is red. All on the back right here, except for the kickstand. Look, let's face it, you know it's gonna break off. That's why they didn't wanna make a special red one that you'd have to replace later. The inside of the rails are still black. We still have a black bezel for the screen itself, but you still have the outlying red all around it. And this is the same tone. It looks a little, it looks ever so slightly more intense on the back. What am I doing right now? Oh, that's what I'm doing. Okay, no, yeah, they are the same. Just something, it just looks ever so slightly more intense on the back of the system itself. I don't know why. I do love how the red on here though looks with the Nintendo Switch logo. I mean, that's how Nintendo's been very heavily represented lately, is the red background, white writing, and so really like how that looks on the system itself. All right, let's see what other little goodies we have in here real quick. We have the dock. Oh no, wait, no, not the dock, carrying case. I forgot this is a carrying case too. So it doesn't come with a game, but it does come with a carrying case. You got red on one side, blue on the other, and little yellow tassels for the zippers to look like coins. Probably gonna be fairly standard on the inside, I guess. Yeah. This is not one that's gonna be able to carry any games, or, well, okay, just a couple right here. Yeah, a few slots for games, little pouch, pretty standard case. Honestly, there are better ones that you can get as far as functionality goes, but for being part of a limited edition bundle, it is nice. And I do like the print on the red and the blue. A little Mario mustache and hat right there. Some overalls, Angry Fist, and then we have more. Oh, hey, it came with a screen protector too. I probably clipped that, that was very loud. Came with a screen protector. Again, probably better ones you can get third party, but nice that it's included. And then, here's the other stuff I wanted. I'm not gonna deal with the cables. I think you guys know what a power cable and HDMI cable look like, but what we do have in here that are special editions. I'm gonna actually wait for the dock real quick because first, I wanna highlight some of the things in this package that are not red. The Joy-Con grip is in blue, so we can go ahead and, those are the old red ones. Here's the new ones, let's put those together. So there's that together. And then, I actually really like this blue one here. It's just a nice, really deep one. And then the other little bit of blue are the wrist straps, which, yeah, adds a blue contrast to the Joy-Con itself while having this red with a little bit of white and blue speckled on the strap itself and a little coin. Oh, And the coin even says Nintendo on the button right here. We'll probably get a tighter lens to show that. We'll go ahead and put the other wrist straps aside. We can get footage of those put together later. There's the other one. And then last is the dock. And I believe the dock for this one is gonna be the same red as the system. I don't think there's any special designs on here. I wanna say it's just a flat red. Double check. Oop. Well, not reusing this packaging. Yes. So this is red all the way around. Instead of having the logo in white like it is on the back of the Switch, they just have an off red over it, which I like. I think I actually like the white contrast a little bit more, but this still looks really nice. And then yeah, everything's red. The only little bit of black showing on here is on some of the inside parts, probably because they just normally especially make certain specific pieces. But yeah, I mean, even the inside of the back of the dock. Again, while this does not come with the game, it was being released side by side with Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. So I did end up picking up the game while I was at it. And I didn't know this when I was picking it up, but at Target, where I ended up finding this Switch this morning, because I just went to the first store I could think of, you get a little water bottle. So I just wanted to show that off real quick. So you just got a bunch of different power-ups and little items in print here, and then circling the whole bottom is cat versions of everybody. That's actually really cool. Like I said, I'm a big fan of the color red, and so I'm super excited that there's a red Switch out. I am very more than likely switching over to this being my main one. But to be honest, I kind of wish that at least in the design of the system, they went a little more contrasty. This is something that actually way back when we started doing things like looking at skins and stuff for systems, and we thought about all the different kinds of color combos we could do to represent different games. Whenever I thought of Mario, I really thought of doing just a little more heavy red and blue. I think specifically the idea I had back then was a red system with blue Joy-Cons. And I understand not going that route because there's this idea of, well, it's a Mario system. We really need to push red for everything. You know, we've already done blue Joy-Cons. It'd be weird to have not red Joy-Cons, right? But then it would also be weird to not have a red system. And then, I mean, the dock's got to be red. And it just kind of all compounds into what looks like a little bit much. I think having just a little blue somewhere in here would have done a lot of wonders. And I can't decide, honestly, if it would have been better to do the Joy-Cons or the Switch itself. Now, of course, one of the big beauties of the Switch is that it is a modular system. So I can, of course, just put different color Joy-Cons on the system itself. And I do like how the other attachments really play with this. I think the Joy-Cons and the Joy-Con grip, even though I don't use that playstyle very often, looks really nice, and same goes for the wrist straps. Really, the thing that surprised me the most about the system, though, is actually the actual shade of red, which I know is kind of a weird thing to say because we've had pictures of the system, but even though I've seen all the photos before, my brain always kind of assumed, oh yeah, that's how it looks in photos, and truth be told, a lot of Switch colors don't translate into photos quite as well, especially the older neon ones, and so I always thought in person it was gonna look like those Mario Red Joy-Cons back from Odyssey, and it really doesn't. I mean, you can even see side by side here, just that difference between the shades they went with. Actually, now that I think about it, I wonder how it would look if you combined the two. Not bad. So the red on here is definitely a more faded, brighter one. And I think part of the goal of that was to kind of emulate the cloth look of Mario's hat and shirt. Again, this is the first special edition of this year, and it's the first one to feature a different color system, which I'm really happy to start to see happen. I think Nintendo's really kind of slowly rolling out how they're handling special edition systems for the Switch. I'm curious to see if we get more extravagant about this as time goes on. Something I even tweeted about recently that I was kind of freaking out about is how cool the late life cycle special edition systems were for the 3DS XL and 2DS XL. And while Switch systems have certainly had some that are really cool, I don't think any of them have really lived up to that full potential yet. And so this is another step in the right direction, embracing more color and not necessarily relying on just a black dock, a black system, and we just etch some design on them. Now, the other thing about this system, and I did a video talking about this when it was first announced, is what this kind of pretends for the whole situation with Switch Pro. I know a lot of people are hoping to see that, and traditionally Nintendo doesn't release a lot of special editions right before a new system refresh. The smallest gap that's happened before was, I want to say, 6 months. For now, here's some cool new Switch options that look pretty nice.